All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us on our November 9th post-election apocalypse live stream on my channel. So far, we have on the panel, besides myself, John Clark, Ook,
Evening.
Blarg, and Neil.
Greetings.
Hello,
Howdy
guys.
all.
So for
Neil.
today, there are a couple things I wanted to discuss. One was the kind of how the tizzy that our normal trolls seem to be on in the past maybe couple hours. Actually, it's been that way for maybe a few days, but they've just been triggered, I guess, on some of these issues. So we'll talk about that. We will also talk about the Trump election or the election of Trump and some of the comments that's come up. Oh, look, we have a guy who's saying Trump 2024, and I would think that he should start updating it now to Trump 2028 and probably 2032, because I'm pretty sure Trump doesn't care about the Constitution.
He doesn't.
At least, yeah.
What is
Unless he wins, then he does care, right? He does want that
What is
peaceful
it? You guys
transfer.
can't have two consecutive terms, or I've forgotten
You
what you
you can't
guys.
have two. The total maximum number of terms is two.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be consecutive. And this is actually not historic. There's been a previous case
Oh.
where a president had non-consecutive 2 terms. Vance 2028. That's hilarious. The
I
guy who
don't think
thinks
that.
Trump is Hitler, he wants Vance to be the president. At least with Vance, he probably knows a little bit more about the Christian religion than Trump. And
Yeah.
Vance is probably, not having cheated on a pregnant wife, but who knows? But then he's
Yeah.
also someone who refused to defend his wife when attacked by the right, the GOP right, for not being white. But Vance, being who he is, wouldn't want that to jeopardize his politics. So he just let it slide. But anyway, we can talk about that later. But so before we start, this is actually the first one after the daylight saving change, and I didn't realize that there were other countries in the world besides the U.S. And apparently, in some countries, they don't do the daylight savings time change in the same way. I'm kidding, of course. But
Yeah.
Neil, you said in the UK you had the change couple
We,
weeks
we
ago.
had on you. So the last time I was on, the clocks went back halfway through the show, which completely threw me.
Okay, that makes sense. Wait, Drama King is Diva? Seriously? Oh my god.
Yep.
Okay. And then in Australia, I guess you guys just have kind of been more advanced and have decided to not use it.
No, the kangaroos didn't like it, so it got voted out.
Well, they like to spring forward. They just didn't like to fall back.
Oh, at least you guys over there don't. I got a mate who lives on the other side of. There's a big, Great Dividing Range. It sort of divides coastal Australia from the inland, and on the other side of the range, just where I am, I've got a mate who's bought a nice property. We're trying to get it all nice, seeded for cattle, because he wants to run a few of the little Dexter cows. And I got to go out there in a couple of weeks and help him get cull some of the kangaroo population down there, because so far they've eaten about $2,000 worth of grass seeds.
Oof.
Wow.
And there is nothing like a mob of roos coming into your house after you've painstakingly put down the lawn, and it'll be gone in the morning. Yeah, you gotta keep the kangaroos happy in Australia, otherwise everything just falls to shit.
You got to tie them down.
Yeah,
That's
Nice,
terrible.
nice.
Sorry.
Yeah.
just no Rolf Harris. That's just horrible. Jake, though I did go as some. I think at the first dress-up party I ever went to, I went as Jake the Peg, which was fun. That was
So, if Diva, I guess in 20 minutes he'll be ready to talk to us, and I think it might be kind of fun to talk to him about the election and why he thinks a felon is a felon who has cheated on his wife while she's pregnant is somehow a better choice than a woman who is very well qualified to be the president, but because she's a woman, I think she wasn't able to win. But we can have that discussion when he's ready. So Diva, once you are ready, let me know. I'll send you the link to get on. But in the meanwhile, sorry.
Actually, QC, I've been taking a look at some numbers in terms of this election versus the last election, and while I do think misogyny did play a part in some of the decision making, she got closer in terms of the popular vote. She got closer to beating Trump than Trump got to beating Biden. So it looks more like not so much that Trump won, but for lack of 11 million Democratic votes, Harris lost, which is, I think,
Yeah, so I think we can discuss it. There's quite a bit to talk about on that. And obviously it's not about, it's not directly related to atheism, but it is, I think, related to the kind of things that come up on the atheist experience. And in the comments, obviously after the election, we've had a lot of people who were doing the whole, drinking liberal tears kind of comments, not realizing that the leopard is going to be eating their face, but that'll be kind of the fun thing to talk about. Yeah. But while we wait for Diva, in terms of the fit that, or the tizzy that the guys on the trolls on the comments seem to be on, let me just
It should be noted that it's the leopard will actually open your skull. It's only the hyena that will eat your face while you're sleeping.
Yeah. All right. So we'll have fun talking about that at the next portion. But as usual, we try to shame these guys into coming on and actually talking to us. And just to reiterate what I've said before, the reason we want these guys to come on isn't because we think they're going to give us some insights onto their beliefs or give us any real good arguments. And I don't think many of them are even going to be able to act civilly, even if they come on. But the reason why I do want them on is because, first of all, the topics that we discuss, we can't ever nail those guys down. So when they make a comment and we make a response, they'll just ignore it. When they can't respond to our comments, they'll just ignore it. Or, in the case of Jay Edith, he will just say, "You lie, you liar," without, providing any backup. So if they're on the call with us, it's going to be a little more difficult for them to pull some of these kind of, shenanigans. They would actually be held accountable for the kind of things that they say. So it would actually be a little more difficult for those guys than what they're currently doing, which is just posting comments from the safety of their keyboard and, continually just making ludicrous comments like they've won all the comments, etc. So that's the reason why I want them on. But I say that knowing that they're not going to come on. These guys are all cowards. The regulars don't seem to be able to kind of work up the nerve to come on. We get a few, like Diva or what's his name, Swordman, who Moses, whatever his handle was, who was able to come on, but they're not really the toxic regulars that Neppy and J. Edith and Apod and the Monkey are. So I made this comment, saying that these guys are not going to come on, and this was specifically about the tactic that these guys use, where they want to sort of conflate making comments on the AXP channel to be the same or equivalent to having a real debate, having a real discussion. So this, I posted not just 2 hours ago, and we had the monkey come on, and we have like 44 replies on these. So I thought we would kind of go through this. I know a lot of you guys also put in a comment here. Anything you want to say before I kind of go through the other the replies in this thread?
No, sweet as, mate.
All right. So yeah, I mean, it's so obvious, right? That this isn't making comments is not the same as speaking and having a debate. It's written. It's a written language and a spoken language. So the immediate response from the monkey is that I, quote unquote, ran off to post what I wished I said to Edith, but wasn't brave enough to his face. I'm literally saying, telling J. Edith to come on so that, he can face me, on this discussion, and somehow me, writing, putting up a post that anyone can read is somehow me running off. So that was kind of funny. And then Neo, you made a comment kind of responding to that about how stupid that is.
Yeah.
Oh, and the other thing is like he thinks it's the big stage. Making comments in the channel is the big stage.
Anything that, nothing that the AXP, the line, the call-in shows and the comments don't even remotely resemble anything like a real debate. This is what I don't understand about people. They, at best, it's a civil conversation. That's all it is. But to claim you've got a debate is ridiculous. It just doesn't work.
A lot of times it's not even a conversation. It's someone just kind of a hit and run thing where they make a little comment and they're not obligated to defend that or respond to it.
Yeah. It's just a strange mindset.
You could, say that the big stage is calling in to any of these shows.
That certainly would be a bigger stage, yeah. I mean, I've been very vocal and very clear about the fact that I think that I'm convinced that Jim Edith he comes on so that he can get verbally dressed down by us. I think for him it is a fetish.
It's some sort of masturbatory.
Yeah. And DK is he's just here to be a troll. He trolls for the sake of trolling. His intellectual inconsistency. When you back him into a corner, then he just goes right to making insults, and it's a very similar playbook, but they're both wholly without any kind of merit.
Yeah, I don't think it's I think DeMonkey has no authority or say in his own life. He has to get validation by being an asshole online.
Yeah.
I don't think
and a good example of that is how he, presents himself as, oh, I am regularly intimate with my wife, and I
Yeah,
know how to
that's
please
the-
a woman.
That was mental. Why would you say that? That's
And he
oh.
doesn't respond anymore to that whenever I poke him about that. So I think he kind of realizes how cringe that was.
I mean,
Good
I was
grief,
going to
man.
be particularly un-PC about it. I asked him if he's got his Red Wings yet. But
Oh, jeez.
performing cunnilingus while the woman's on the period and having full intercourse and all that sort of stuff. Red Wings.
Well, he did say he knows how to please the lady, so I would imagine he can do that.
I'm not convinced that he has ever seen a woman naked. I will go on record as saying that. It falls into the category of he thinks he doth protest too much.
The way he talks, it seems
Yeah.
like it, right? So no man or a woman who can kind of quote unquote please the ladies aren't going to write it in those terms.
There is something about him that feels insecure on the topic of those sort of manly behaviors, that he feels a compulsion to overcompensate in the way that he posts and the things that he talks about. So my theory, my hypothesis is that he has not known the touch of the opposite gender.
Or the same gender,
Or the same
Or
gender.
the same gender, yeah.
I mean, okay, hey, again, no shame as far as that's concerned, but he definitely there's a sense and feeling of inadequacy. That's why he leans so heavily into his intellectual prowess. That is why he leans so heavily into his sexual dominance. For him, he is trying to create the persona online of he has this avatar of himself that's completely the opposite. It's the version of him that he wishes he were. And that's
the one that spends, every day reading 50 to 100 philosophy pages a day. Right?
But and you'll notice after reading 50 to 100 pages every single day, he didn't know what the definition of the word your or deity was.
Yeah.
Like, come on, dude.
but moving on. So the other kind of issue with just posting comments like this is that you can't just declare that you won. So in this case, the monkey boy is being a white knight here, saying that Edith dominates Queefer. And, again, I somehow ran away to make up what he wishes he said to Edith. I mean, I've said everything I wish to say to Edith. I shouldn't say, respond, because it's a written language, not actually a spoken language. And I know, Neil, you like to kind of talk about him being a dance monkey, and he really is.
Oh,
I mean, he's just
sorry, yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. Go ahead.
It's just because he's so easy to trigger into particular patterns.
Oh yeah.
And his name just lends itself to monkeys so well that he is a dance monkey. It's like, you say something, he'll do one type of dance around a subject. You say something else and he'll do another dance, and you can just wait 5 posts and then know exactly what he's going to say and have your reply already there waiting for him. He's just so easy.
Yeah, you make one post and he'll respond 4 or 5 times.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. I love the fact that basically he has to reply to me and other people making similar comments at least twice, with at least one insult in one of the posts. And it's just like going, yep, nope, I've got you triggered. All I had to say was, nope, you didn't do that, and away he goes again. It's a joy, the simple pleasures.
Yeah, and these
you
guys
do playing very well. He does. He dances rather well.
Yeah,
I quite like that one.
I think Tuna's got A-part dancing fairly well. He can set him off like anything, and
Looks like we've all managed to get our little pet projects on the channel.
yeah.
So Diva, just if you could just wait maybe 15 minutes while we kind of complete this part, and then we'll move on to the election.
There's also Paul Tinson. I just invited him. He's in the comments there as well.
Oh, does he actually want to come on? I didn't think that he was in his right mind to be able to talk.
No. If Paul Tinson is too scared to come onto the channel, he doesn't have to grow a spine. That's fine.
Yeah, he doesn't need to. But the other thing that these guys do is, go ahead.
Is he the one who said there was a rapture this week?
No.
Oh, is he the one, the rapture one?
That's a different Paul.
Is he the Scottish guy with the rapture?
No, that's Paul. Starts with a G.
Okay.
The bipedal haggis. Yeah, that's Paul. Starts with a G. Last name.
Oh, I may be confusing the Paul Timpson with someone else, with that guy then. The other thing these guys do is, I think being kind of insecure, they think that it's actually effective to make these kind of insults as if any of us are somehow, reading this and crying because, they said these bad things about us.
I cry myself to sleep every single night.
And it is kind of probably a projection where those guys probably do, respond badly to insults, depending on the kind of insults, I'm sure. Yeah. But for these guys, at least against me, the couple of things, or maybe more than a couple of things. So with our toddler philosopher, for him, he's kind of stuck on this whole speech impediment thing where I'm not sounding exactly the way, I guess, his idea of a manly man sounds. I think he's gone from both. I think he's the one that talked about, what is it, the Elmer Fudd thing. And then when that didn't work, he went into the beta male soy boy thing. And then now he's kind of moved off of that. But I did want to kind of let people know in terms of sort of how I sound. So English is not my mother tongue. So when I talk, I think there are certain sounds where I don't quite get it right. And that's because at the age I came in terms of kind of speech development, there are certain sounds that you build up. And if you go beyond a certain age, you can't quite make up the sound or hear the sounds or produce the sounds in the native way, even regardless of vocabulary.
Yeah, it's
I'm English. There are sounds I can't make. Okay.
What you're talking about, Q, is I think it happens around 5 years old. If you've been brought up in a completely bilingual household, you're able to get the pronunciation and the sounds correct. But once you get past age 5, you will always carry that slight inflection when you speak English. And to be honest, I think you're probably one of the easier Americans or American accent that I've heard. I mean, John's got a good one.
I agree.
A couple of the others. It's educated, it's precise.
Oh, thank you.
And being at the top end of Australia, a lot of interaction with Asians of all sorts. And it's really only the second generation that actually starts to sound like, I've got a mate, if you talk to him, you would swear he's Aboriginal, because he's got a real heavy Aboriginal accent, and but he's Chinese, but he's second generation Australian and grew up in the cane farms way up north, and mainly a lot of Aborigines work in those, and a lot of Italians. And yeah, he sounds more Australian than Crocodile Dundee. But yeah, your voice is fine. And Elmer Fudd, I think he's just pulling that one out of his ass.
Yeah, so I was 10 years old when I came here, so it was definitely way past 5. But yeah, I know what you mean. But in terms of accent, when I came to the States, I essentially grew up in the Midwest, in Iowa, in fact. And I think the Midwest sound is probably the most standard sound, where it doesn't seem like there's a accent, whereas if you went to, let's say, the East Coast, West Coast, or even places like Minnesota, and definitely the South, there are definitely accents. John, where are you from, or what region?
So I spent the vast majority of my life growing up in the East Coast, the DC metropolitan area. So if I have an accent, it would be more along the lines of there being a Maryland accent. However, my biological father was European. My mother grew up on the East Coast, and I've had the benefit and privilege of knowing quite a few people who were professional storytellers from all over the world, and growing up in that environment. So a lot of my oratory skills comes from the fact that my biological father was an actor, and my biological mother was a trial attorney who never lost at trial. So that's the environment that I grew up in terms of speaking. Like the
never lost a trial, not in the same way that Neppy has never lost a debate, right?
Yeah, you see, my mother has actually been in trial, whereas I think that's the slight distinction we should make there. And also having spent enough time at Toastmasters, and there is, as some have speculated, there is a little bit of debate club in my background. So that's where some of my debating and my oratory skills have come from. But that's all kind of boring, but I can go down that rabbit hole if anybody wants. But that's East Coast is sort of the broad strokes of East Coast and the DC metropolitan area. So if anybody knows anything about Washington, DC, you can go in any direction and find, Chinatown, Little Italy, Little Mexico. There's anything that you want to find, you can find it around here.
So Miranda says there's no such thing as not having an accent. Everyone just thinks that the way they speak is normal. I think some people do think that they don't have an accent, but I guess that goes to her point. The person I'm very impressed with is the guy that plays House. I can't remember
Hugh Laurie.
Hugh Laurie.
Yeah, Hugh Laurie. Oh my God, when he in the show, he completely sounds like an American. He doesn't sound like an English person.
He can do several accents very well.
Rick on The Walking Dead.
Then going.
Oh, is he English?
Yeah,
English.
Hugh Laurie, Bob Hoskins. What's funny about Hugh Laurie and Bob Hoskins, those are both examples of. I only knew Bob Hoskins from his role as Eddie from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So when I saw him in a British movie after that, I thought, oh wow, he could do a British accent. And then I heard him in an interview. I'm like, why is he still talking in that? Oh, that's why.
What's great is Bob Hoskins is a Londoner who is working class Londoner. He got into acting in his late 20s, I think it was, and just went from there. Hugh Laurie is like middle class, went to Cambridge, got into acting that way. Both of them accents are spot on for either whatever class they want to do in UK or America. It's amazing.
Yeah. Whereas Michael Caine has always talked like Michael Caine.
Yeah, Michael Caine has one accent. It's not even a good English one.
Oh, Blarg. Blarg pointed out Hugh Laurie was in Blackadder. That's absolutely correct.
Oh yeah, of
Yeah.
course, yeah.
He is.
I mean, that's where I
brilliant.
knew him from.
Yeah.
There's a bit of Fry and Laurie, which is Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie.
Yep.
Should be on YouTube. Seriously, those two together, when they do their accents, it's brilliant.
That's one of my sacred VHS tapes. Bit of Fry and Laurie. Also, when they don't know how old you are, Neil, but do you remember Saturday Night Live on the BBC?
So do you remember what on BBC?
Saturday Night Live. It was a comedy.
Yes. Oh, yeah, we used to have that. Yeah.
Yeah. The young ones, Vivian and Neil. No, Rick.
Yeah.
Out of the young bottom. Fry and Laurie got their first television break going on that, which is quite fun. I'll have to maybe once I work out how to bribe She Must Be Obeyed, I'll put them up, because I don't think you can get even on YouTube. I'll have to have a look, but yeah, Saturday Night Live, BBC.
They were on YouTube when it first came out, and they got took down.
Well, yeah,
I've not seen them in quite a while.
But they still have the bottom TV show and the live shows.
Yeah.
Sorry, we got sidetracked there, reminiscing.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no worries.
Hotel Paradiso.
Oh yeah.
That's still one of the best ever just English alternate comedy movies out there.
Yeah, so Diva
if you
is
can
waiting,
ever find a show called Gales, please, because it's a
I think
I
mates
can't
in the
remember the
UK's
name.
got that. Yeah, I'll check.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
So
I
Diva's
tell you, it's a very old ITV thing. Sorry, I'll stop reminiscing now.
Yeah. So Diva, if you could just wait a little bit longer, but just one quick thing. This comment that the Monkey Boy makes about this: I used to claim English wasn't his first language and that he sounded Scandinavian. I never said Scandinavian, and this is kind of emblematic of how the monkey seems to either just not comprehend or just twist things around. And there's so many, and I'm going to try to, like every time he does it, try to post a reply against it. But what I had said was that he sounded Eastern European. I thought it was Romanian.
Yeah, I reckoned Romanian, based on his phrasing.
Yeah, and I don't know why he would say probably because of his phobia of Putin. How does Putin and Scandinavian? How does that relate?
Maybe that's because Demon Kelly is constantly Putin on airs.
Oh no! Come on.
Sorry. No. I stand by that one. I stand by that.
Yeah. Hello.
Yep.
Yeah. There is a small connection there because the USSR invaded Finland some years back. They've got that really long border.
Right. So let me just go out on a limb and say that he absolutely wasn't thinking about that. That's just my opinion.
Probably, but there is a potential there that people from Finland are definitely concerned about Putin.
Yep. Well, I think all of Europe probably should be with what happened with the election. The last thing before we get to Diva is I want to, and hopefully we won't take too much time. So the Monkey Boy spent a lot of time on this entelechy thing. And I had posted a couple kind of summaries of what that is. It's something that Aristotle, I think he's the originator of this, where it really is supposed to, what Aristotle was using to sort of explain how organisms transform, like from like a sperm or an egg into a fully grown human being, or from an acorn to an oak tree. So it's a combination of telos and energia. So just the kind of the motivating force that changes a life form to fulfill its end purpose or end goal. And he brings up Goethe. The monkey boy brings up Goethe all the time. I really doubt he understands Goethe, but this whole idea, he brings it up because of the discussion was about the soul. And at least for Aristotle, that entelechy is not like an eternal soul. So when an acorn has fulfilled its, entelechy, that's it. That entelechy is gone. With Goethe, it's a little bit different where, it's more dynamic. But he found a quote where Goethe is saying that this is eternal. And that's fine that Goethe thinks that, but the ramification is just hilarious, because if all living organisms have entelechy, and this entelechy is a soul, and the soul is eternal, the example I used was a tapeworm. So this tapeworm has a soul that supposedly God gave, and even after that tapeworm dies, it's somehow in this afterlife, whether it's in heaven or hell, who knows, but there's this afterlife where this tapeworm lives on forever, for an eternity. And not live on, but exists for an eternity. And it's just hilarious, but he doesn't respond to it. So if you guys have any comment on that, what do you think?
Well, you'll notice that my ability to checkmate him was just, okay, what happens to the soul, as you've defined it, after the physical person dies? And he never answered that. And that's because he knows that if he actually commits himself to an answer on anything, then he'll quickly get himself checkmated, because he doesn't actually understand the concepts that he's claiming to understand. It goes back to my whole hypothesis about this being nothing more than an avatar that he wants to create for himself.
I directly asked him twice whether the entelechy soul that he's trying to promote was the same as the Abrahamic / Christian one, and he dodged twice to say yes or no that he was saying it was exactly the same thing, and yet he's still trying to present it as being the exact same thing.
Yeah.
It's just just the eternal dodge.
First, he said that he wasn't making a claim about the soul being eternal. And then he talks about how he's, quote unquote, scientifically demonstrated that the soul exists, which he hasn't.
Yeah.
But he says this, and then I think later he found that quote from Goethe. So it's like, oh, okay, now it is eternal. And,
that's why I asked. Because it's like, make up your mind. What are you doing? But he's incapable. He can't decide.
Well, he can't think through these things, and each of these things are just kind of like a fad for him, where he kind of jumps from one philosophical novelty to another.
Yeah.
But we've spoken enough about the monkey boy, so I'm going to stop it there and bring on Diva. Hello, Diva, you're on. I don't know if you were listening the whole time.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, Diva.
Right. How are you, Diva?
I'm in my car running my battery, but I got to turn it off when I'm talking to you. So I was charging my phone while I'm listening.
Okay. So I actually did want to talk about this topic. Obviously, it has a big impact to everyone, not just in the U.S. And I know I don't want to sound like I'm some kind of, USA kind of guy, but obviously USA does have a disproportionate impact in the world. So there will be an impact. But when after the election, it was kind of interesting, the kind of comments that people were making in this atheist experience channel about how I don't know who's that person, HLN. Let me see if I can
Heather.
share this.
She's the one who says Australian Aboriginals can't get skin cancer. Yeah.
Right.
She's an insane bitch.
Yeah.
So she had posted a bunch of comments about how I think Johnny, she thought Johnny was crying because of the election results. I don't necessarily know if she was crying or Johnny was crying, but she seems to take quite a delight in Trump winning, even though she's not even an American.
That surprised me. I thought she was American because she sounds like the typical right-wing American toxic bigot. That
I mean, the
is
thing
that
is, the
you were
thing is
talking
about America is in Canada,
Hello.
and Great Britain, every country is for Trump or for Harris, you know. So it goes to really every country that's involved with our politics.
Well, I don't think that they're necessarily for or against per se. They do recognize that there are going to be certain interests that are going to be easier for them to promote when candidate A versus candidate B is sitting in the big chair. I think it is a recognition that the United States is still, the 800-pound gorilla in the room when it comes to geopolitics. I think it's more indicative of that than anything else.
Well,
Yeah,
I'll say at least for Helen specifically, based on the comments that she's made in the past, all the kind of anti-gay, anti-trans kind of stuff. So I think for her, Trump winning is really about, all those views, the anti-trans bigotry, being counted as a win, right? It's been validated by the American people.
Is this lady claiming to be a Christian, or she just basically claiming to be a conservative?
She
Christian, I think.
No, she's been Zoroastrian. She's been Hindu.
Oh.
She's been she changes her thing. I just think,
but that's
she was Christian at one point.
Yeah, but I think she's said Christian things. I think she's any of those things in the same way that the toddler philosopher is a panentheist. He's a Christian, right? And I think Helen is a Christian as well. Just trying to hide.
Yeah, well, I wanted to say two things. My goal is to be better about having a good conversation where I don't talk over people. I'm going to do my best and just let everyone talk and I talk. And I'm going to do my best to make it more clear for everyone, for people listening.
Yeah.
And
so Diva, I'm just trying to sort of set this up, and it kind of went a little bit off topic.
Well,
but
I just want to say the guy Paul or something, is that the one that's on there that was making comments about you? Because I seen he had made something comment like that in the past. I read it. He was saying something about how you talk. Is he claim to be a Christian?
Yeah, but he's got his he's very esoteric. God, try saying that with no top teeth.
Well, I'll tell you what. As a Christian, a true Christian, and I know you guys the Scottish Scotsman thing, but a real Christian would never say anything bad, make fun of somebody for. That's not what a Christian does. A Christian loves everybody and should never say anything about someone like that. And Q, that was wrong.
I know quite a few bishops and
100%
cardinals that would disagree with you on that one because they take the piss out of everyone.
Well, let me ask. So Diva, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but obviously you voted for Trump, right? And the kind of person he is. Do you consider him to be a loving Christian?
Definitely not. From what I see, I don't know exactly what's inside of his heart, right? But from the fruit I see, I wouldn't say he's born again at this point. I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, he explicitly said that he doesn't have anything to apologize to Jesus about.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't say.
But you're okay. But you're okay with voting for someone like that as opposed to Kamala
Another
Harris, who
non-Christian?
is a Christian?
She's not a Christian. She's not a Christian.
How do you know?
How is she not?
What is she then?
Because at the somebody said Jesus is Lord, and she said, get out of here. That's not, go down the street. And so
Really?
the policies that she supports, I would definitely
Wait.
say
So
she's
no.
not a
So
Christian.
before we get to that, so she explicitly said, "Get out of here," in response to someone saying Jesus is Lord. Is
At
that what
one
you're
of her
saying?
rallies. Yeah.
At one of her
Yes,
rallies.
because she
Anyone
was
else
talking
know about that?
political.
So I think I know the event that you're talking about, Diva. And I guess my question to you is, what do you think was her motivation for saying that?
I don't know.
Okay, so you don't know her motivation, but you're willing to draw a conclusion based on your lack of understanding about her motivation. Because she's not a Christian is your conclusion.
No, I don't think she's a Christian. I don't know what's inside her heart. I would say, by
Okay.
seeing how they act, their fruit, I would assume or guess that they're probably not a Christian. That's all I'm trying to say.
Wait,
Okay,
but
Diva,
does the
is the
actual
Pope-
facts matter?
Is
Do you
the
think?
Pope a Christian?
What's that?
Is the Pope a Christian?
I would say no.
Okay. So
I would
All
say
right.
no. I would
That's
say
just
no.
fucking bullshit.
As best as you're able to, Diva.
But I don't know. Maybe it is.
You know that there are various sects and there's various interpretations of the Bible. What sect of Christianity would you say is most closely aligned with your understanding of the teachings of your book?
Just to make a quick comment, because I would like to talk more about politics, So
Sure, I would also like an answer to my question.
yeah. So I mean, pretty much, you follow the Bible. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear.
Because there's some pause on here. Okay. So you follow the Bible and you follow Jesus, and you must become born again, which is a new birth with the Holy Spirit coming to live inside of you, changing you to help you live the life that you're supposed to live, helping you to overcome sin, temptation, and basically you're living for Jesus Christ. There's no real sect, and I would say, like, I always tell people I'm a born again Christian, but that's just like saying I'm a vegetarian who eats vegetables. Every Christian is born again. If you're not born again, you're not a Christian, because you haven't been born from above at a particular time in your life. So that's I would just say Christian.
For you are okay with passing judgment on Kamala Harris being not a Christian because of one event that you heard, that where you thought she was somehow speaking out against people for their beliefs.
Well, no, because of the policy she supports.
So that event
go along with that.
doesn't really matter, right? Because that event is obviously false. First of all, just think commonsensically. Here is a woman who's running in a Christian country to be the president, and there's a rally where she's on camera, on video, where you think she's going to tell, even if she actually did believe this, you think she's going to somehow yell at people for saying Jesus is, Christ is King, Jesus is Lord. You think that does that make sense? Is that commonsensical for you to think that might actually be the case, where she's going to blatantly demonstrate her anti-Christian beliefs, if she had those? I mean,
well, she claims she prays, right? I've heard her say, "Oh, I pray to God. I pray."
no, I'm just talking about this particular event. You think it makes sense that she would say to these people who says Jesus is Lord, that somehow she's going to say bye-bye, goodbye, which is what the claim is.
Yeah, she said, we basically take that. That's a small party, or take that party down the street.
That was actually before that comment even came out.
Yeah,
Well,
not the question. That's not the
it's
question.
not even
It doesn't
close to
matter.
what happened.
I don't believe Kamala Harris is a Christian, and I don't believe Donald Trump is a Christian. Donald Trump has allegedly maybe committed adultery in his past. Kamala Harris with Willie Brown has committed probably adultery in her past. So I don't vote on if they're a Christian or
Probably, but you
not
don't
because
actually know
they're
that.
not a Christian. They're not Christian. I vote on policy and what is more aligned with the Christian beliefs, and that's it.
Okay,
Now,
so let's move off of this, because I mean,
Yeah.
obviously you're really kind of conflating two completely different things and making a judgment
Yeah.
on who is or is not a Christian, which seems to me very
Right,
anti-Christian. But
I'm confused. I'm confused already because at first you said she's definitely not a Christian. Then you said, well, you don't know what's in her heart. So maybe she is a Christian, maybe not. But now you're saying that she's definitely not a Christian. So you've held three different opinions about Kamala Harris in the span of less than 10 minutes. I'm a little confused.
According to what I see, I would say she's definitely not a Christian. According to what I see, yeah, of course.
You mean,
Hey,
you know,
Q.
even though she
Steve.
attends churches and frequently and prays with her pastor, etc.
That doesn't
anyway,
make you a Christian.
that's fine.
That doesn't make you a Christian.
That's right.
So
no one is a Christian.
She's definitely not a Christian, even though you don't know what's in her heart. You don't know what's in her heart, but she's definitely not a Christian.
Yeah, Blarg's
supporting
position,
abortion. Yeah.
Hold on, Blarg, go ahead.
It's a yes or no question, Diva.
Yes, sir.
Yes or no?
Yeah.
You don't know what's in her heart, but
comes.
she's definitely not a Christian. That's your position.
From the fruit I see, yes.
Okay, that's fine. Blarg, go ahead. Wait, hold on. Blarg, go ahead.
All right, so that's your position. Okay. All right. I'm just glad I finally got a yes or no answer out of you. I'll be quiet now.
And I would agree with Donald Trump too. From the fruit I see, I don't think he's
hold on. Diva, go ahead. Blarg.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I worked out where this nonsense came from. It comes from what's his name, Knowles. Hang on, sorry, what's his from the Daily Wire. It's
Shapiro?
from not Shapiro, the other fellow, Knowles.
Oh, yeah,
Michael Knowles. Yeah, so he's taken the. Do you remember the rally where there were some hecklers in the crowd, and Harris has gone, "Oh, I'm sorry, you guys are at the wrong rally. You're meant to be at the smaller one up the street."
Right.
The smaller rally. That's where this is coming from, because in amongst the heckling was things like abortion is murder and Jesus is Lord, and she's going, "Oh, sorry, you guys are at the wrong rally." So that has been construed to say she was answering the person who said Jesus is God, and then saying, "Oh no, he isn't." But no, she's just telling the Trump hecklers that were in her crowd that they're at the wrong rally. So yes, it's complete rubbish.
But
and
ultimately,
was
for Diva,
misconstrued deliberately by the Daily Wire.
Okay.
Yeah, but for Diva, it doesn't matter, right? Whether that is true
it doesn't
or false.
matter a bit.
For you,
Yeah.
she is not a Christian because you don't see what's in her heart, but knows that she's not a
Notice
Christian.
notice though that there's
I don't see the fruit.
taking a punt each way there. Harris, who demonstrably goes to church and is seen to do that and can answer questions about it and all the rest of it. She definitely isn't, or maybe she isn't. And then when asked about Trump, who most definitely is not a Christian, who's never ever been photographed in a church, that he wasn't there for a photo op, who can't even say which. Whether it's the New Testament or the Old Testament he prefers to read. It's very personal to me because he actually doesn't know any of it.
Sure.
Yeah, he's definitely not a Christian by any standard. And I'm pretty sure if you were actually to get him to answer honestly, he would think people who are Christians are suckers, just like he thinks of the military.
Well, I think that was a fake line that never was said, and they all debunked it. There's a lot of fake stuff that they say.
What's the fake line?
Hold on. Let's move off of this because we're not going to get anywhere with Diva. Because for Diva, anything that's negative about that was said about Trump is, false, and anything that was
Yeah, that's right.
positive said about
Yeah, it was
non-Trump
it was
is
fake
true.
news.
Yeah. So let's move on to Diva, for
Yes,
your
sir.
point of view, it's the fruits, right? The fruits demonstrate that this person is Christian or not. So you're saying that Trump's fruits demonstrate that he is a Christian. Is that where you're going to?
That's not what I said.
Okay, go ahead and make your point then.
I said from the fruits I see, neither of them are Christian.
Okay.
I said that already. Yeah.
And if people say that by the fruits that people see about you, specifically in terms of comments that you make, would that be acceptable to you, that people don't think you're a Christian because of that?
Well, I mean, if I cussed at somebody, if I threatened someone's life, if I don't think I've ever done that. I
Okay,
mean,
that's
That's
fine.
not
So
the question that he asked.
yeah, no, that's fine. So let's then move on to the policy. So what are the policies that led you to vote for Trump as opposed to Harris? So deporting 20 million people, is that a Christian policy?
Well, let me ask you this first. So last year, no, I'm going to get to.
You are
I'm
pathologically
going to get
incapable
to.
of
Hold
answering
on,
questions.
John. I'm going to get to all of it. I'm going to get to all of it. I just want to ask you. Last election, it was what, 81 million votes for Biden and like 74, 75 for Trump, right? You remember that? Is that what it was? Or 81 for Biden?
Right, but what does that got to do with deporting 20 million people?
No, I'll get to that. But I'm
What
just
is the
saying
connection?
no, I'm going to get to that. I just want to make a statement that Trump basically got about the same amount of votes as last time, but she got 72 million or something like that. So don't blame Republicans for not voting for her. Blame Democrats for not voting for her. So it's not like,
No, that's fine. We'll get to
Yeah.
that. But
So it's not
again,
us.
that
No,
has
we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
again,
Blame your
that
own
has
party.
nothing to do with my question.
No,
You
I
said
just
you'll
want to
get to
let
it,
you know
but
that. Don't blame Republicans.
no.
Blame Democrats.
So
Okay.
Diva, we will get to that because I think
Okay,
that is
go
an
ahead.
important point. But
Okay,
why
go
don't
ahead.
you first respond
Yes.
to my question?
Yes, no problem. I don't hide.
So is it? Say again.
I said, I don't hide. So ask me the
Yeah,
question.
go ahead. So my question again, to reiterate, Trump has said multiple times, and his people have confirmed, and even after the election results, they have confirmed again that their intent is to deport 20 plus million immigrants into the U.S. And when they say 20 million immigrants, they're not talking about illegal immigrants, because there are not 20 million illegal immigrants. They're talking about just immigrants where they may have come in legally, but the Trump administration may disagree with whether that the legality of the status that they were given. And the example is the Haitians in Ohio, who are eating the dogs and eating the cats, so to speak. They came
Allegedly.
in legally. They came in legally, and they are legal immigrants. But the Trump administration doesn't agree, so they would be a target of the migration or the deportation. So so my question was this, regardless of what you say about the legality of the migrants, the immigrants, would you say that it is a Christian policy to deport 20 plus million people?
Well, you got a lot of facts wrong there. I watch all news. I watch
Okay, wait.
Fox
Okay,
News,
why don't you, just for the sake of the discussion, let's
because
just
what you're saying is
stipulate.
wrong.
Let's
What you're
just
saying is
stipulate.
wrong.
Let's
He's
just
not.
stipulate.
Show me
Okay,
where he
so
said 20 million people that he's going to get rid of. I never heard
he
that
actually
number.
said more than 20 million. It's like he thinks that it's more than 20 million. But anyway,
That there's in here, but he never said he's going to deport 20 million. I never heard that number, and that would be almost
okay. So
a
you haven't heard it, but
huge.
let's say that if he said that, would that be a
Didn't say
Christian
that.
thing?
He didn't
No,
say that.
if he had said that, and let's say he had said that, would
Let's
that
talk about
change?
what
Would
he
that have?
plans on doing.
I
Let's
get
talk
it.
about
I
what he
get it.
plans
You
on
don't.
doing,
I
and
get
then
it.
you can
You
say if
don't
it's
agree.
Christian.
You don't think that he said it. I'm saying if he said that, would you have changed your vote?
Well, no, he said that before the election. So
Yeah, before the election. So would you have changed your vote?
the majority of the people who voted for him, he won the popular vote, and the majority of a poll said that illegal people that came over illegally, not legally, illegally,
Okay, wait.
should
So
not be
listen
here.
to me. Listen
So
to me
that's
carefully. So
hold on,
listen
I
to
will.
me. Listen to me
All right,
carefully.
all right, I can't answer.
So I'm giving you an if, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
How about let me make it really easy for you. Let's say that Harris said, I'm going to, as soon as I'm president, I'm going to deport 20 million immigrants. Would you think that that is a Christian policy for her?
You have to decipher between illegal immigrants and immigrants.
Yeah, that's not the
Okay.
question that he asked.
Well, no, that's two different things. Anybody
Okay,
who's legally
let's
here
say okay,
will
let's
not be
say illegal.
deported.
Let's say
Yeah,
illegal. So she
Come on.
said, I'm going to deport. I'm going to use if she said, I'm going to use
Yes.
the might of the military to deport 20 million illegal immigrants, regardless of how long they've been here. They're illegal, so she's going to deport them. So would that be a Christian thing to do? A mass deportation of 20 million people.
I will answer the question.
Illegal immigrants, right?
Yes, I
They're
will answer
not
the
here
question.
legally.
I will answer the question, but
Okay.
it was never said by Trump or anyone that he was going to.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm not saying that right now.
Illegals.
I'm saying
All illegals.
I'm saying.
He didn't say that.
So
He's gonna start with the
that's fine.
criminals.
I didn't say that, right? I said
The
if
criminals
Harris
first.
said
All right.
that if Harris, you know
Who let
Harris,
them in?
right?
Yeah,
Kamala Harris.
Yeah, who let him in?
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Said
Harris
she wanted. Yeah.
yeah, let's say Harris is responsible for
Mhm.
all 20 million people that she let in illegally, right? She actually like physically brought them over the border over the last,
Didn't
50
stop
years.
Yeah, it didn't stop
Yeah.
him.
Or the last 50 years, she physically brought them over. She brought them over and they've been here for decades. And now she's saying, I'm going to deport these 20 million, do a mass deportation of 20 million people. Is that a Christian thing to do?
I would say yes,
Okay. All right.
because Jesus
Do
is
you
going
see
to
how
not
easy?
let.
Do you see how easy it was to answer that?
No, I
Yes.
was always going to answer yes, but I wanted you to start with the facts. I was always going to answer yes. That's an easy answer. Okay.
So
You think
yep.
Jesus
So
Christ is going to let sinners and evil people and all these people into his kingdom? Of course not.
we're
He's
not
going
talking about
to
sinners.
banish them.
We're not talking
No,
about
but I'm saying the
bringing people.
borders. Would
Okay,
you
wait, hold on.
let a bunch of illegal criminals come into your house and live and eat your food and just
Okay,
exist?
let me
That you don't know?
just step back. Let me just
Why
step
would
back.
you?
So
Okay,
are you
so here's
saying
the
that
question, Ziva.
Jesus would say, no, you can't come into my kingdom, regardless of whether you have faith or you believe in me, because you are an illegal, you can't come into my kingdom. You think that's what Jesus would say?
No, I'm talking about entering his kingdom if you're not born again. It's
Yeah,
the same thing as
his
you
kingdom.
entering this country if you're not legally doing it. You're illegally doing it. You're breaking the law. God is against breaking the law. You break the law, that's against the law. You're breaking the law.
God
And so
is
they shouldn't be
literally
there.
letting
Wait, let
people
me make sure
come
I understand
into
correctly.
his
But
kingdom.
doesn't Jesus also say that you should render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's? So he doesn't care about human law. He cares about God's law, doesn't he? I mean, isn't one more important than the other?
The government was formed by God to give out justice and do the right thing. Do the right thing. Once the government goes against what God does or believes, then there's a problem. So the
When I
government
was
is supposed to
naked, you
punish
clothed me. When I was
criminals.
hungry, you fed me.
And
When I was imprisoned, you visited me.
Yeah.
So
people should go to prison.
Hold on. You said you weren't
Yeah.
going to talk over people, and I'm doing the best I can not to talk over you. So you're telling me that the asterisk next to that line in the Bible is, unless you're from another country. That's not a scripture about compassion towards your fellow human beings. That's not a scripture about how it's more important to treat other humans like humans. It's more important to treat them like they're illegal immigrants and to ignore them and to tear their families apart. Are you in favor of deporting the parents of naturally born citizens, regardless of the age of the child? Yes or no?
First of all, it might not come
Yes
to
or no,
that.
Diva? It's a
It
yes or
might,
no question.
if
the
they're here
parents are
illegal,
here-
if
hold on,
they're here
Diva,
illegally,
Diva.
sure. Yeah, I'm gonna answer, but let me talk. Yes, sure. If they're here illegally, why not? They're breaking the law. And if that person who is illegally entering the country becomes a Christian, that person would say, I came here illegally, I deserve to go back, and they would do their time. They would leave. They wouldn't try to continue
So
sneaking in and doing that.
all it takes is for them to convert to Christianity.
No, I'm saying if you're a Christian, you're gonna take the sentence. You're gonna do what's right. You're not gonna continue being a snake
So
and being
again,
here illegally.
so
So
again,
if you're
Diva,
here illegally, you leave, and that's what a
So-
Christian would do if they became a Christian. I would say, and they'd have to follow the law. You must follow the law.
if somebody
So-
heard what you just said, and they said, "Well, based on my understanding of Christianity, you're not a real Christian,"
That's
based on their
opinion.
perception.
Sure.
Okay, so
Sure.
there is no real moral core to this Christianity that you keep proposing. So I'm a little confused as to how you feel that it's okay to tear families apart. Like that's the more moral thing to do. That the
Okay, I know-
might of that the might. Hold on, Diva. You had a chance to have your say. I'm going to have a chance to say mine. What you're proposing is that the might of the state is more important than the sacred family that your God has created. You are saying that an imaginary border created by man is more important than the will of your God. What you are saying is that a 5-year-old child should be made an orphan to possibly grow up in the orphanage system. Have you ever met somebody who grew up in orphanages, Diva? Yes or no? Have you?
No, but what if
Have you?
somebody-
Okay, that's all. I just asked you for a yes or no question. I did not ask you to expound.
No,
I
don't think so.
really don't want to hear your ignorance about the system that often ignores the small children because they don't get adopted. Because I have known those people. I have known those children. I have met those adults whose parents were ripped away from them because of the power of the state. So do not speak to me on compassion. Do not speak to me of your laws. Do not speak to me of your God's love until you reconcile the fact that you are okay with abandoning children. Until you admit the fact that you do not care about their health and well-being. That is more important to you than an imaginary line created by man be honored rather than the love of the God you claim to be talking about here tonight. Your morality sickens me, and you should be ashamed of yourself. You, sir, are no Christian.
And
until
you are out of,
get the
and
truth
you
that,
are,
I am not done talking.
dude, you're out of bounds. Q, why
No,
don't you
I
step
am
in?
telling you. I am telling. Hold on.
All right,
You
continue
said
ranting.
what is in
Let's
people's
not
hearts.
get, let's
You
not
don't know what's in
discuss.
people's-
Let's not
But
discuss.
what-
Continue ranting. Go ahead. Q, come on. You're not gonna like say, let him answer. Calm down. Come on. Go
Because,
ahead.
sir, what you
Yeah,
are
go ahead.
speaking of is despicable. What you are speaking of is vile. You want children abandoned. You want children torn away from their families.
Didn't say that.
You
Okay,
did,
so-
because I asked you if you were okay with parents being torn away from their children if the children were born here and the parents were not, and you said yes.
So let me, so Diva, let me just try to explain. And it's interesting, the monkey is here, but of course he's not going to come on. But anyway, the issue is that you are fixated on this, that because it's illegal, or people are here illegally. You think a policy where children's parents are ripped from them is okay, and yours, from your point of view, it's Christian because it's legal, right? That is your point, right?
I can answer, right, without interruption? Because I have
Okay, go
waited,
ahead.
I have listened. Okay. Isn't there, since the border's been open, isn't there, they're saying 200,000 to 300,000 kids who are
Wait,
lost?
so hold on. So
Hold
Diva,
on.
the issue is that I make a question and you
Look, you
don't.
guys like to
you-
continue to make these long questions. I try to give an answer, and
It's
then
not a.
you
It's
go to
not.
something
It's not
else.
a long question. So let me say it again so that you can kind of see how long it is. Okay.
You at least give me to like 2 hours on the show because I don't get a chance to talk. So go
So
ahead.
Diva, again, You say that this is a long question, but it isn't. So the question really is that for you, is Christian to have a policy where you rip children from their parents because of the law, of the human law, right? That was the question. Is it Christian?
Now can I answer?
Yeah, as long as you answer the question.
The policy of what he's going to do is, first, you can't deport 20 million people. You
Not
can't.
the
There's too
question
many
that he
people.
asked. Diva, answer the question
He's
that he
gonna
asked.
start.
Come on,
He's
Diva.
gonna start. Hold on. He's not going to do that. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So let me talk. He's
That's
going to
not the
Answer
start.
question
the
he
damn
asked.
question.
Okay, so Diva,
Go ahead.
that was good
Continue
enough of an
talking,
answer.
Nico. Yeah,
Diva,
continue
that's
talking.
good enough of an answer
Yeah,
for me.
you ask
So
these stupid
your
questions. You
answer.
ask these stupid questions where I can't go in with nuance and explain it, which is not even true. He's not
No,
going to
your
give
answer. No,
every
your
kid
answer is that
from their family that's
it's not going to
illegal.
happen. Your
Not going to
answer was
happen.
that it's not going to happen. That the government isn't going to put kids in cages, right? That's what you're saying. Because
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. When
right,
Donald Trump in his first term wanted the wall, he wanted to continue, like he wasn't able to do the whole wall the way he wanted to. He said he would sign a thing if you gave him the wall to help actually stop the problem. He would sign for DACA and let all the, I think it was DACA, the dreamers, and let them have their legal citizenship. And the Democrats rejected it. They rejected it.
No,
So
so
don't
Diva, that's
tell me
not
that he's
true.
not trying.
No, that's
That's not
not
true.
true.
Oh, okay.
Because
Okay,
because
sure.
here's what Trump said. Because here's what Trump said. He built the wall. He completed almost all of it. So don't say that he didn't do it, because according to Trump, he did it.
No, I'm talking about in the beginning, before he started on the wall.
No, now he's saying that it's all done. The
It's not
wall
all
is all
done.
completed.
It's not all
Oh,
done.
I
You
know.
that.
Most people, most intelligent
So why didn't the
people who are
Democrats
in
give him
reality.
the wall and let the Dreamers have their citizenship, have their, why did they say no?
What function does the wall serve? What is the intended function of the wall?
Well, when you have the wall, okay, and you have the people on the wall in the certain spots that are easier to get through, in a sense, there's certain areas that are easier, certain there's not, that you can actually stop people and deter them from trying to get in. And that's smart.
What makes you think that that's true? That a wall will deter anyone?
Well, it was working with Trump. They had the Remain in Mexico, which was working, and then Biden got rid of that. With
So let's stop with the wall thing. So the fundamental response from you, Diva, is that this mass deportation of 20 million people, despite the administration saying that they're going to go forward with it, you're not worried about kids getting ripped, the families getting ripped apart, because you don't think it's going to happen, because it's so hard. That Trump is not going to be able to do it.
They've already said, no, that number. They're not going to be able to get that number that you're talking about. It's, I would love that, to get really everyone who is illegally here, especially somebody who is criminals or young men, not so maybe mothers and children, of course not, but the men, especially, you have Asian, hold on, you have Chinese, you have Chinese, you have all young men coming through here. You have young men coming through here.
Wait, so you think that they're going to institute a policy where if you're a bad-looking young man, we're going to, and you're a illegal immigrant, we're going to deport you. But if you're a nice family of a mother of two, we're not going to deport you. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is he's going to go after. They already said they're going to be very specific with who they go after. They're not going to just.
That last time. They said that last time, and there are plenty of news stories where, there are people who voted for Trump, in his last presidency, where they voted for Trump. And then they're like surprised that Trump did what they told them that they were going to do.
Yeah,
so
this
presidency, yep, exactly. So this is a presidency where a larger portion of Hispanics actually voted for Trump.
Yes,
so
and I can tell you why.
These are people who are going to sit there looking at their friends and families getting deported. Maybe not 20 million, maybe just 15 million, whatever. They're going to see these people getting deported and wondering, how could this person who said that, they were going to deport, these migrants, how could they come and deport the migrants? I'm actually, I mean, I feel sad that it's going to happen, but
Let me explain.
uh,
Let me
go ahead.
explain. So when you're talking about legal immigrants that came here the right way, Hispanic, Mexican, whatever, okay, or whatever, Venezuelan, whatever. When you have legal people that came here the right way, and they're fleeing to come to America because it is a great country. Now, when they see that the criminals, the rapists, all the people that are pouring in, the drug dealers, when they're pouring in illegally, they want to escape that. They want to escape from that those people. Okay, and they came in the right way, and they hate illegal immigrants coming in the wrong way more than we do, like as just people that live here, because they're skipping the line and they want the bad hombres gone. You know, these people, they took over the Venezuelan gangs. You got things going on. A lot of Americans are getting raped and murdered. It's on the news. You got to get rid of the bad gangs, the criminals, the rapists, the murderers. You got to get rid of
bad
those
hombres, right? Yeah, bad hombres.
first.
The one that
Yes,
one that Trump talked about.
yes.
The
You got to
bad
get rid of.
hombres.
It's common sense. It's common sense.
Hey,
If you don't have a
And of
border,
course,
you don't have a country.
okay. Hey,
Sorry.
and by the way, this country obviously has been completely overrun by the migrant caravans, right? That's coming every election cycle.
Yeah.
So
I heard
I'm
they
not
turned
sure how.
around. I heard they turned around once they heard Trump won the election. So he's already stopping stuff and he's not even fixing it yet.
Hey, Diva, quick question.
Oh,
What's that?
According to the FBI, according to the Department of Justice, according to the BOP, according to the vast majority of law enforcement agencies in this country, who is statistically more likely to commit a crime, a citizen or an illegal immigrant?
There's more citizens, so probably the citizens. Yeah.
We're
See,
talking about
here's the thing, though. If you
we're
take a
talking
look
about
at
rates. Come on.
yeah, we're talking about the rates of criminality. So we're talking
Yeah,
about per
sure.
capita. Who's more likely?
Sure. I mean, there's more citizens.
So
So,
these bad.
of course.
So if I have $100 million to spend on a government program, the more effective use of that $100 million would be to look at ways of reducing crime amongst citizens first. Wouldn't that be the more efficient use of the taxpayer dollars? Yes or no?
Always to stop crime. Yeah, you should always use the money to stop crime, wherever it is.
And so what you are proposing is for Donald Trump to waste taxpayer dollars.
That would go to feeding and all these illegal immigrants that are taking money for hotels and cash gives and all the things we're giving them.
Not the question that I asked.
No, you know how much money they're going to spend for just housing people and that shouldn't be here, and feeding them and all that housing. It's probably be a little cheaper to get them out of here when they shouldn't be here. So you're not really spending the money; you're saving the money by not spending the money on them being
Diva,
here. So
I would love to have an actual conversation with you about the economics of immigration and law enforcement, because you will lose that conversation fast. You do not have
we all know when we die, we'll find out the truth. I'm not worried about it. We'll all find out the truth.
Diva, you do not have the background in economics that I have. You do not have the background in budgeting that I have. I promise you.
Agree.
You want to go down that rabbit hole?
No, I'd agree.
Go down that rabbit hole? Yes or no?
Okay.
No, I'd agree.
Let me just hey John, let me just confirm with Diva. So the question that John was asking was in terms of the likelihood. So if you just randomly selected an immigrant and randomly selected a U.S. citizen, of the two, who is more likely to commit a crime?
I mean, either one. I don't know. Either one, right?
Okay, so here's what the stats say. The immigrant is less likely.
More crime is by Americans because there's more of us. I agree.
But wait, so you don't understand rates and you don't understand percentages and likelihoods, etc. So I'm not talking about the absolute number. You're right. From an absolute number, probably, citizens are committing more crimes. But I'm talking about rates, the likelihood. So from a likelihood point of view, the reason why the immigrant is less likely to commit a crime is because they don't want to get in trouble, because there's a bigger impact to them, even if they just get a speeding ticket. So the numbers demonstrate that they are much less likely to
Yes,
commit
I would say,
crimes.
but what about there's like murderers and rapists that's already done those crimes and they're coming in here. So I'm talking, so they don't care.
My God.
Well,
My
the thing
God.
about listen to this. The illegal immigrant that came in under Biden, okay, who raped and murdered that lady in Georgia, the young nurse. So you come to this country after
So
you've done a bunch of
if you
things, and
take
now you're going to
100,000,
prison for your entire
if you
life.
take
What a
100,000
waste!
people,
What a
if you
waste! You
take
come in and do a
100,000
crime, now
people,
you're in prison. What a
okay,
waste! Now we pay
never mind.
for him to.
Someone else wanted
Diva?
to say something, right?
Q.
Neil, go ahead.
I,
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Up you go, Neil.
Common
No,
sense.
I was that's what to say. You're not understanding rates at all. You've brought up this example of an immigrant who committed a crime, and yet
Illegal.
amongst,
Yeah.
if you take that his number against all immigrants that you've had, a citizen is still more likely to have committed those crimes.
The illegal immigrant should have never been here. That's the problem. It should have never been here. So
So
what? It's okay for a couple more murderers. It's just fine.
okay for citizens to do that. It's
It's
just
not
the illegal.
okay for anybody to do that.
That I
But
mean,
you don't
that's
allow
your
illegals
argument.
to do
Your
that.
entire argument is that you don't want the illegals committing the crime because that's for the citizens to do.
No, they shouldn't be here to
That's
commit
what it
those
comes.
crimes
That's what it
anyway.
sounds like. Saying.
So,
You've
that's
so
right. They
Diva,
shouldn't be here.
so Diva,
You've already said that it's a better use of taxpayer dollars to put those resources towards minimizing the likelihood that citizens are going to commit crimes, since they're the ones who commit more crimes. So you have already admitted that this policy is going to be a waste of taxpayer dollars by your own standard, by your own logic, by your own words.
so by the way,
if you're here
Diva,
illegally, you shouldn't be here.
yeah. So
Whether you're a
Diva, thanks for
criminal or not.
making the case. Thank you very, very much for making the case for abortion, because there was this person who committed a mass crime who could have possibly been aborted. It was an unwanted child, but because abortion wasn't available, this person got born, and they committed a huge genocide. So thank you for making that case for abortion. Do you know what that's called? It's called consequentialism.
It
But
doesn't
anyway,
it doesn't matter, because if that person committed a crime, they're going to have to face God, and that's their choice. So they shouldn't have been aborted. They should have been born, had a life.
So
But
wait,
they
then,
will
why are you
Well, so-
worried
they will
about
be
why are you
judged.
worried about whether or not
They
they
will-
violated human law? Why are you worried about if they violated human law, since they're going to have to stand before your God no matter what?
because the government
You're
is supposed
arguing
to
against yourself
uphold the laws of the country. So it's about
Okay.
breaking the laws. If you made
All right.
just because murder is illegal doesn't mean you're stopping murderers. Doesn't matter.
So
Just because you say you got to
what's
come in
more
legally,
important?
it doesn't
Hey
stop
everyone,
someone.
just hold on a second. So I think this whole
Enforce the
discussion
laws.
is going the way that it always does. So I'm going to end this part of the discussion. So let me thank Diva for coming on. So I'll put you down, kick you down, because I think we're not getting anywhere. But thanks for coming on. And I'll have to say, when you're on, it's always interesting. It does get our bloods boiling up a little bit. But thanks for coming on,
No,
and
let me ask
we
you a
can talk to
question.
you.
Let me ask you a question. What
So
did I
let's
do?
just
Fuck off, Diva. You're only
See, what
here to
did-
preach. Fuck off.
I didn't say
No,
anything about. I didn't say.
That's
Oh,
no.
good.
So
Fuck off.
hold on,
Diva,
hold on.
the issue
What
is
did I
that
do
it's
wrong?
really
I answered
hold
the
on.
question. You would disagree
So
with
let
it,
me
but I'm giving you
wait.
the
Hold
answer.
on.
Kicking
So
didn't
let
swear.
me just say so let me just respond to Diva. So
Hmm.
so Diva, I'm just going to kick you down, and I'll give you your answer while you're listening. So the Diva, the issue is that when we're having discussions and when we're trying to make points, things like who's more likely to commit crime, an immigrant or a citizen. I'm not sure if you're doing it on purpose, but you don't seem to kind of understand the concept of that question, or what the point of that question was. And the issue is that a lot of times you then go on to something else, to kind of make a point that's not really related. So those kind of tactics makes it kind of more difficult for us to have a good faith back and forth discussion, because it seems like you're not really making an attempt to kind of understand the point that we're trying to make, even if we don't make it in the best way. So that's really I think the issue that myself as well as others on this panel have with having this discussion with you. Anyone else want to chime in on that?
Yeah, that's why so often I specifically will frame my questions as yes or no, because his dishonesty will bubble immediately to the surface, because he wants to try and dodge and deflect and work around so that he can distract before he's actually held down to answer the question. And that's why I asked him, is it okay to rip families apart? He didn't want to answer at first. And it only is when we circle back and forced him to answer that he showed his true ignorant colors.
Well, and the funny thing is that, we've seen it happen in his first presidency. We've
Yep.
seen families ripped apart. But Saibu made a good comment. And, and this is part of the reason why it's hard to have a discussion with Diva on things like this. So when we give this kind of information, where is facts, or stats or whatever, and he doesn't seem to kind of pick up on really what the point of this. So,
He
what
doesn't care.
Saibu is saying.
He doesn't care. That's the problem. He's got his answer. He doesn't want brown people coming into his country, so he just keeps finding excuses, just moving the goalpost from one to the next to the next to the next, such that he can just keep his story. So you can give him any amount of information you want, but he doesn't care about that. He's just looking for, just exactly like the thing about Harris, who doesn't believe in God because of a out of context quote. He believed that piece of story because it fits his narrative, and then ignores all of the other part because they don't fit his narrative, and then just bounces on. Yeah, you're talking to a fence post.
The
but the thing is, I can't see into his heart, so I don't know if he is genuinely.
And
being
also, I'm
dishonest.
gonna push back. I'm gonna push back on calling him a fence post, because a fence post is nailed to one spot.
Yeah, he keeps moving all the time.
No, his spot is the same spot. He just, if you just look, it's the same spot. You might keep throwing stuff at him, but it's always the same spot. God is real. Everybody else is a non-Christian compared to him, and brown people can fuck off out of America. That's the spot. He's a fence post. He doesn't move, and he's about as honest and engaging as one.
Yeah.
So Saibub's. Oh, go ahead.
I would add, I don't mind nuanced answers where someone says yes but or no but and explains why there's a but. It's the whole complete avoidance of giving an answer is what annoys me.
That's why I spend most of my time responding to him by saying not the question that was asked.
Yeah.
It's to hold him accountable for the fact that he's trying to dodge and deflect.
Diva
Go ahead,
is
Luke.
only here to preach at people his version, his own personal version of Christianity. I mean, to say that the Pope is not a Christian is fucking ludicrous. And he's just so racist, misogynistic. Well, actually, he's a Bible reader, he's a believer, isn't he? So there's no point engaging him at all. And I do apologise for getting a little aggro, but yeah, I couldn't. After, again, the bullshit he tried to bully his John just was, and I know John can handle himself, but it's just, yeah, Diva does that all the time. He just bullies people. And bullies really set me off. Yeah.
When directly challenged on whether or not he actually knew the facts behind anything that he was saying, you'll notice every single time he folded like a map.
Yeah. It's just bullshit.
Like, I promise you, he does not have the economic background that I have. He does not know about how to structure budgets the way like I know. He does not know what he's talking about. And when he's talking about wasteful government programs, like
Well, I mean, the thing is, it doesn't take that much mental power to understand, in the likelihood of an immigrant committing a crime versus a citizen, but it seemed to escape him. The point that Saibub was bringing up, I think, in response to Diva talking about the cost of having the immigrants, is that undocumented immigrants, they pay $97 billion in federal, state, and local taxes, because the whole system is set up so that they kind of have to pay the taxes, otherwise they're going to put themselves in jeopardy. And the IRS actually doesn't try to chase down undocumented immigrants because, of course, they're bringing in money, they're bringing in revenue, $97 billion, and they don't take the the government care that comes to people who are documented and who are citizens. So they get a raw deal. They're in that way paying for their presence here. The other thing that we didn't get into in terms of the kind of the policy impact for having Donald Trump going to taxes is that for people who think that somehow they're going to get a lower tax rate with Trump is sadly mistaken. If you're a multi-billionaire, if you own huge companies, you're definitely going to benefit. But for people who are in probably the lower middle income class and lower income class, you're actually going to effectively get a higher tax rate because you're going to be paying much, much higher in terms of like produce prices and other goods where Trump is just going to put a unilateral tariff on it, which basically increases the price. And for a multi-billionaire, paying a little bit extra for that head of cabbage is not a big increase percentage-wise for them. But for people who don't make the money, it is a big increase. And that's how it becomes a regressive tax rate, a regressive tax increase.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but don't illegal immigrants, if they're working, pay income tax?
Yeah, that's what Saibub was saying.
Yeah, I mean, so they boost the American economy.
Yep. So
yeah.
if 20 million people were booted out, there's going to be a huge negative economic impact in the United States.
Let us not forget also the illegal immigrants who worked at Mar-a-Lago.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can guarantee those illegal immigrants will be allowed to stay because they're cheap.
Well, there is a legal immigrant who wants to leave. Her name's Melania.
Yeah, she's really hoping Orange Man up and cucks it so she can get some of his cash and never has to see him ever again.
Yeah, I'll bet the Secret Service did check to make sure that she didn't send any funds out when there were those two, assassination attempts.
It is. Look, I've always had the impression that he thought that he was marrying a piece of arm candy and she thought that she was marrying a green card. And that's between the two of them. I don't care about what goes on in their marriage behind closed doors. I think it is hysterical that Trump does not afford the same understanding or leniency to other immigrants in this country. And it'll be very interesting to see how many of Trump's supporters are crying foul when the prices go, when there is going to be inflation. The tariffs that Trump wants to put into place are going to be inflationary. If you get rid of 10 million people, if you get rid of 5 million people from the workforce, that's not going to have the effect that people think it's going to have. Because if we take at face value the claim that they're taking away jobs, then let's just accept that premise for just a moment. They're not, but let's accept that premise for just a moment. Those wages are lower than the minimum wage, which means that if you have all of those people that are not currently in the workforce entering the workforce because the immigrants have been deported, then they're going to be brought into the workforce at the current market rate, which means those prices are going to go up. Now, are Trump supporters actually thinking that laissez-faire capitalists are going to just eat that cost? Of course not. Prices will go up. This is an inflationary policy. There's no other way around it. So what's going to end up happening is inflation will begin to spin out of control, and they're going to have to either cut rates to spruce up the economy, or they're going to have to lay people off. So this is not the panacea that Trump supporters think that it is. And if the Democrats had a lick of sense in them, they would pivot to start to take advantage of the bad policies that are going to start rolling out. But I have no real faith in the Democratic Party. I haven't had faith in the Democratic Party since I campaigned for Nader back in '96. That should give you an idea about how far back in politics I go. Now, mentioning the fact that I campaigned for Nader should also tell you that I don't always necessarily back the winning side, but these people have not thought through the consequences of their vote. And I said at the beginning of this, Trump didn't win, Harris lost. And Harris got closer to beating Trump than Trump got to beating Biden in terms of overall numbers of votes. So the Democrats need to figure out what it is that kept those 11 million people from going out and voting for Harris.
I mean, I still find it quite strange that more countries don't have compulsory voting. It's not a perfect system, but at least everyone then gets to vote and can't whinge too much.
No, but it's America, freedom.
America.
I want the freedom not to vote.
Yeah. See, so here's the argument against compulsory voting, which is that voting is speech, but not voting is also speech. And so if you have a government policy that compels speech one way or another,
it doesn't have to be compelling speech. It could be that you essentially just, say that you registered, right? Where you don't have to vote. You don't have to vote for a specific person, but you could say that you're the compulsory portion is that you go through the steps.
You can do what some Australians do and just draw a dick and balls on your election ticket and stick that in the thing. You aren't required to write anything on that. You aren't even required to write a single thing on the ballot ticket. You can just take the ticket, fold it in half, and stick it in the box. That's perfectly legal. You're just required to vote.
It just means that more people get to have a say. I'm not saying Australia's system is perfect because it's backed up beyond recognition, but that's nothing to do with the compulsory voting. And it just means that people tend to look at politics a bit more and not so much the one issue most of the time. But I just think if you're going to have democracy, make sure everyone is involved in it. Don't just opt out of it.
Yeah. So I think just in terms of the... Go ahead.
Sorry. I'll say that they've occasionally over here suggested compulsory voting and obviously pointing at Australia. And, our elections are fairly fraud-free. But no one wants compulsory voting here. It's kind of odd. Everyone complains, you don't vote, you shouldn't argue about it. Then nobody wants you to vote. That's
that's where I am, at least. I mean, quite a few elections, I just wrote aggro for PM, which aggro is a puppet on an Australian kids TV show. You can, and it's called, funnily enough, donkey voting. You just go in there and, like a donkey, you can put a hand stamp on it and put it in the thing, but at least it gets people off their asses to the polls and or mail-in votes, which is great. I haven't been to a polling booth in over 10 years.
Well, we went once in the first half of the year.
Oh, yeah. No, I did once in 10
No, it
years.
was about 10 years, yeah.
And then whinged severely because there was no wheelchair access. I happened to be in a chair at the time. But yeah, I mean, if everyone votes, you got more people. Gives you a fairer indication of what the country wants. That's just the way I see it. But America's strange.
Yeah,
See,
I mean,
lot
considering
of
the
cousins.
all the issues with the electoral system, that also kind of throws things off. Although supposedly Trump won the popular vote this time.
I mean, I still can't know. I only just recently this year found out that it's the electoral college that votes for president, not
Yep.
the people.
Yep.
That's fucked.
So the idea there was that when the founding fathers were setting up the electoral college, they wanted to make sure that the agrarian South, which was more sparsely populated, had as much of a fair shot at a voice at the table as the more densely populated North. So it was the idea of trying to keep the playing field level. Now, whether or not that still does the job it's supposed to, with modern population dynamics in America being the way that they are, I mean, that's obviously a hot topic of debate right now. I'm not convinced that the Electoral College does anymore what it was intended to do. I'm not sure that the original. I'm not even sure that the original intent had the merit that the founding fathers thought it would. But I think the conservatives on the right are really worried about popular vote, because if you go by popular vote, with this last election being the exception, their policies are not popular. They haven't won. This is the first time that they've won the popular vote since
George W. Bush.
Yeah, I call him President Shrub, because that's what you call a junior Bush.
Yeah. Don't forget though, John. The Electoral College was also highly influenced. Its existence was highly influenced by the 3/5 slavery thing.
Yeah, no. The impact that slavery has had on socioeconomics, politics, as much as there are most on the right don't want to admit this, it has absolutely got its fingerprints all over many, if not all, aspects of the birth and growth of this nation.
Yeah, and the Electoral College is definitely firmly embedded in slavery. It was a solution to help the South, which had all those slaves, to be able to get more votes, even though they weren't allowed to have those people vote.
Oh yeah, they wanted the benefits without any of the responsibility. Yeah.
Without giving the slaves any votes at all. Yeah.
Of course.
Sorry,
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I absolutely. You're absolutely correct about that.
Miranda asked an interesting question with religions or denominations that don't agree that it's against their religion to vote. Is there religious exemption in Australia?
There are religious exemptions for a lot of things. So you can essentially be a racist. You can be, a bigot, but as long as it's in, for religion, it's accepted. So
yeah, I think we can probably opt out of voting on a religious basis if you can demonstrate that your religion has that. Luke, I'm pretty sure that would be the case.
So one example is with the COVID vaccine, where for schools there are, the children need to get vaccinated. But if you just claim a religious exemption, and you don't even have to belong to like a real religion, it could be a religion of one, but it's a way for you to kind of shirk your duties and not get the vaccinations, despite it endangering people around you. So at least in the U.S., this religious exemption really has been very powerful.
Yeah, it's one of those strange things that I've always looked at America and go, well, bugger all people actually vote. But they elect this person. Oh, hang on, no, they don't. This other group of people elect it. And the other thing, I had another point. I'm trying to think. No, it's gone. Sorry.
All right. So I think I'm just going to wrap it up here. This has been a very interesting discussion. But I think you guys noticed the monkey boy came on and made a comment during John's his emotional I wouldn't say outburst, but his
Blug and I
sort
were
of
fighting with the ban button. Time out.
Yeah, so I just want to say, so John, Diva was kind of like, pleading with me to come and do something about this. And the reason why I didn't, do anything or pipe in or it isn't. So the reason for that is because, when you were kind of going on with that, you weren't being abusive or you weren't saying, falsehoods or you weren't saying anything that's just completely off the rails. You were saying what's honestly on your mind, and it was relevant to the discussion. So that kind of outburst, or I know it sounds bad to call it an outburst. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, and I wasn't going to step in for something like that. So don't feel bad about being emotional or kind of showing your your how you feel. I think you had also responded and said that John, you were essentially saying what a lot of us were thinking at the time. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think it's actually great when people, the panel, and even, the guests, when they are being more truthful and honest and saying things that they actually feel. So I think it was good.
Right. Yeah. No. And John did a good job.
Thank you all. And again, it is this is the highlight of my week. As much as you guys are my friends, I value your opinion and your feedback very much, and so thank you for letting me have my say. Yeah, I got a little heated in that, but that's because this is one of the policies that's very personal to me. I really can't get into the details, unfortunately, but he's wrong. He's wrong, and this is bad. And this has been a tough week for me because of all of the friends that I have in the immigrant community, all of the friends that I have in the trans community, all the women that I know. This is a scary time for them. And I have been helping them through their pain. And I've had to, not had to, that's the wrong word, but I've been their friend. I've been their source of comfort. I've been their source of focus when they are done licking their wounds and getting ready to get up to fight another day. And I think a lot of the pain and anger that I have been having to process this week came out in the conversation tonight. And I try to, so I thank you. Thank you for letting me have my say. And Diva, I think you're still wrong, but I would like to have a rational conversation with you at some point if that's ever possible. But
you'd have to do a homemade lobotomy for that.
But gentlemen, I think what I'm really more concerned about more than anything is not the tone of my responses, but I wanted to make sure that I didn't deprive anyone else of their opportunity to have their say on the matter. I think that's my biggest concern.
No, you did well. You did well, mate.
All right.
You heard what my response to him was.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
So, Ook, you are absolutely one of my favorite people because you have no qualms about just putting it out there.
I've got too many scars. I mean, the reason I have a beard and have had one since I was 15, and it's only been off my face once, was I got jumped in the toilets of a pub I was doing security at, and this is when they had glass jugs, and I've got up the back of my neck and across my face and everything. I ended up with over 120 odd stitches putting the face back together. I just can't stand bullies, and I don't mind getting physical with people. And I don't say anything about someone that I wouldn't say to their face, which is probably why I've got a lot of scars. But it also means I can't be bothered. Even the brothers at the Mara school I went to, if there was a bullying problem, I'd get a quiet word aside. Can you go sort out such and such because he's been picking on the 8th graders, you know? And yeah, I'd go and give him a touch up, and the bullying stopped. So, I mean, violence isn't always the answer, but sometimes it does work, sort of. Anyway,
It's about fairness, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a fair go. And I mean, you look up a fair go, it's the Australian motto, you know.
And y'all will notice that when I was applying too much heat and pressure on Diva, that's when he pleaded for someone else to fight his battle for him. So this brave, strong Christian warrior couldn't handle.
But you see, Jesus never tapped out.
All right, gentlemen, on that note.
Yeah. Nice. All right,
I think
was
that
good.
summed it up. Well done. We're done.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for participating on the panel. This was another interesting discussion, and of course, thanks to everyone in the live chats. Your participation here also is great, and I love hearing what you guys post here. So we will end this live stream, and as always, I'll see you in the comments.